Okay, let's start off then. Yeah, last time I finished off the space, right? Space and ICT is what was supposed to be done. So this question on ICT, like information, communication technology and development. ICT development का क्या relationship है? So ICT is not conventional geography, no? Okay, कि land के बारे में, look, you know, ICT actually is all about reducing distance, reducing the time dimension. ICT is reaching to remote regions. उसी में आपका geography बन जाएगा. Now see, the first point is we are looking at from the perspective of regional development. ये words हैं आपके. Regional development. A very important concept is integrated development, okay, where we want to converge different sectors, we want to converge different regions and locations. So ICT, अगर हम discuss करें from the perspective of regional development, this is a very important goal that we are looking at integrated development. We are looking at converging different type of sectors. We are looking at converging locations and regions. अच्छा, उसके बाद एक बहुत important concept of development ये है that it has to be inclusive development. Okay, when I say inclusive development, again, there's an element of population and local participation, and inclusive development in terms of, again, economic development and in terms of social development too. So any development has an element of integrated development and an element of inclusive development. Now, in any development, apart from planning part, a very important part is your execution of the programs, and this requires governance. So it's like I'm discussed the importance of ICT in regional development plans, importance of ICT in development objectives. So कोई भी development हो जा, उसमें एक regional perspective होता है, उसमें एक inclusive development perspective होता है. There is a perspective of governance, which includes a responsive, which includes timely interventions, and we need governance to also be transparent. We need to be accountable. We need governance to be fair. And the fourth aspect of any development is integrating new technologies. New technologies kahan par? Technologies in resource identification, technologies in processing of resources, technologies related to identifying local requirements. So think of the idea called GIS. What does GIS do? GIS identifies kahan par resource hai. You can have a remote sensing, processing resources. So you're looking at different type of raw material coming in together, working as part of tandem, okay, part of your manufacturing processes, part of your refinement processes. Okay, plus I said identifying local requirements. So if you look at the importance, and of course, I forgot one more point, decision making, which is real time. Okay, so we need to have what's called as flexible and prompt decision making. ये पांचों component में we need to have ICT. So ICT, information, communication, technologies, they're important in these 5 aspects of development. Regional planning and development, inclusive development. We need it to execute in terms of good governance. The decisions are responsive, they are timely. We need to have transparency, accountability, fairness. As a part of governance, we need to have decision making, which is real time, flexible, and they are prompt decision making, and plus integrating with local resource and so on. So this, all of this, को आप squeeze कर सकते हो, maybe 2 paragraphs में, or in schematic. That what is the need of ICT in planning development? ये आपका schematic बन गया है. ठीक है? Now the specifics I'm adding. And specifics में, see, when we talk about economic planning, when we talk about social sector interventions, 3 things are very, very important. One is a scale of operations. Scale of operations का मतलब होता है reaching out to as many people as possible. The scale must be large because development has, say, poverty elevation, lot of people, drinking water, lot of people, energy requirement, lot of people. So scale of operations बड़ा होना चाहिए. Second is that there must be a reach in terms of geographical remote locations too. आप इंडिया यहाँ दिल्ली में बैठ के talk about Northeast, talk about Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, talk about corners of Tamil Nadu, talk about interiors of the tribal regions, Andaman Nicobar Islands. You're reaching out to the maybe NRIs. Okay? So good economic policy, good social planning interventions. You need scale of operations, you need good reach, and you also need deep penetration. When you say deep penetration, we are talking about reaching the grassroots at the level of the rural areas, एकदम local population तक. So more people, more geographical coverage, and you go deep. Deep as in national level, state level, district level, block level, panchayat level, local regions, एकदम deep जाइए. Now, these three elements of any planning requires ICT. Without information communication, scaling is difficult using technology. Without ICT, reach आपका कम जाता है. And without ICT, the deep penetration, the grassroots is difficult. तो ये आपके conceptual terms हैं. Like, why do I need ICT? Like, why do I need ICT? Now, ICT का the main impact of ICT is in terms of data and information handling. Okay, and इसका best case study बनेगा the use of Aadhaar. Aadhaar is a very important example of ICT-based interventions. Aadhaar card. Okay, Aadhaar card, we have already covered more than 65% of India's population has been covered. Through Aadhaar card, we have got a reliable database for direct benefit transfers. Aadhaar card say duplication is avoided. Aadhaar card say intermediaries are bypassed. Aadhaar card intermediaries are bypassed. In fact, because of Aadhaar, financial inclusion achievements have been the best in compared to all developing countries. Financial inclusion achievements has been the best in all the developing countries. आपका जो जनधन योजना रहा है, the Trinity, okay, ठीक है? So this has been, so Aadhaar card ICT based example है, and इसका best use हुआ है, okay, in our pandemic management, okay, along with this Arogya जो आपका app था, mention this, the Arogya app, which help digitally track vaccination, track vulnerable communities, track first, second, third round vaccinations. So tracking was very much possible because of Arogya Setu app. So ये आपने एक example लिख दिया आप example. So start the answer ICT पे in general क्या concepts हैं. Then I have taken up the idea of scalability, the idea of reach and depth, और इसको हम demonstrate कर रहे हैं. Why? Because ICT handles data, it handles information. Aadhaar card is one good example of this. The second discussion can be on how information IT technology is very, very effective in complaints redressal, because it reduces the interface, it has real-time tracking, ombudsman में better data management होता है, so conflicts and dispute resolutions are faster, और इससे corruption also comes down. The best example of this is IT technologies in income tax, taxation and revenue services. So एक आपका जो one of those agenda of good governance, you know about SMART, right? The word SMART objective जो है, SMART is what? It is simple, moral, accountable लिखो. ICT यही achieve करना चाहता है, smart governance. Simple, it should be moral, it should be accountable, it should be responsive and transparent. ये सब GS content है. Okay, the objective of smart governance and ICT definitely enables the smart government. Now, very specifically, some examples of digital ICT interventions in agriculture. One is जो climate smart agriculture है, again, which is also a resource efficient agriculture in terms of soil hai, in terms of water, in terms of your pests and fertilizer management. We have a concept called as precision agriculture. Exact farming hota hai, precision agriculture or exact farming is entirely ICT based. इसका best example है ये implement हुआ है fisheries में, in fisheries, in trout farming. TROUT, trout farming in Dachigam National Park in Kashmir. ये सब information ICT instruments लगाकर they can test the water में levels of nutrients, pollutants, antibiotics and all of that. So one example. So precision farming using ICT is one. Okay, इसी में continue करो. It's also used in agroforestry, intercropping, crop rotation. ICT used in agriculture biotechnology, in particular developing microorganisms. Next, for extending agriculture-based services, we have got one initiative called as AgriStack. It's like a collection of technology-based interventions platform, technology-based interventions platform for end-to-end services to farmers. एक और है, we have the Digital Agriculture Mission, okay, for 2021-25 to encourage use of artificial intelligence, GIS technology, blockchain technologies, use of drones, etc. in agriculture. Apart from this, in agriculture, ये जो 5 services हैं, Kisan call centers, in agriculture, Kisan call centers, Agri Market app, and ENAM, soil health card, and water use quality app are all ICT examples. ठीक है? तो ये है एक set of discussion agriculture specific. Next, you can add down ICT in urban planning and urban governance and urban development. So we have the smart city program is almost entirely ICT based. इसके 4 component हैं ICT based. One is the power energy grid is ICT based. Second is monitoring, okay, problems like pollution, water shortages using ICT. Third is waste collection, disposal using ICT. The fourth is urban services, traffic management, law and order, water supply, it's ICT based. So we have a National Urban Digital Mission, NUDM, National Urban Digital Mission. It is a citizen-centric, ecosystem-driven approach by creating shared urban digital infrastructure. It will connect urban local bodies with urban residents and service providers. ये अभी 5 जगह they are trying to implement. One is Ahmedabad gift city में कर रहे हैं. They're doing this for Navi Mumbai, Vashi. In Delhi NCR, they're doing this for Noida, and Greater Gurgaon project. They're doing this for Kochi. It's like a pilot-driven project. Or we have, but these are the more important ones to remember, where they're trying to work out this platform. Okay? And you can bring in a bit of GS, maybe ICT in urban air pollution control. The National Air Quality Monitoring Program जो है, आप उससे बात कर लेना. Coding जो है in terms of okay, the PM level, PM 10, PM 2.5. So whatever you can add from there. The platform's name is IUDX, India Urban Data Exchange. Under the NUDM, जो platform बना रहे हैं is called as IUDX, India Urban Data Exchange. I forgot, they're also doing this for Bangalore also. For Bangalore, Smart City IUDX जो है, also for Bangalore. So I think इतना काफी होगा यार for ICT importance and development. So in general, what is the needs of development? In general, what the objectives are, governance बता देना, and pick up depending on the कितना marks है, कितना क्या है, agriculture discussion, maybe half a page and half a page urban area में, and you are done. ICT जो question है, please. ठीक है? Okay, so ICT is done. Now let's talk about transport. एक question बनता है इसमें. Now say, you talk about any development, regional development, you talk about any type of spatial organization, you talk about any type of linkages between sectors, between locations. The most important determinant of all of this is the transport. So transport as the basis of any type of development, any type of regional development, any type of spatial organization, any type of linkages, okay, between sectors, linkages between locations. So this one point. So second is transportation is a prerequisite for horizontal unity, which is essentially linking diverse locations, linking diverse sectors. When I say horizontal unity, I'm basically talking about what? It is linkage across locations, a linkage across sectors, across locations, across sectors. That's one. Then it's a prerequisite for functional linkages, prerequisite for innovation, diffusion. Rostov's model में the preconditions of takeoff is about transportation. ठीक है? अब transportation के there are four requirements. One is good transportation is always flexible. When I say flexible, I talk in terms of cost. I also talk in terms of reach. A good system also has strong complementarity, as in road railway complementarity, okay, railway and waterway complementarity, railway airways complementarity. It should be flexible, it should be complementarity. It must have a last mile, it must have an element of last mile connectivity. And this is only possible if there is complementarity and integration between different modes of transport, connectivity. And the third is that the transport system should also be a development multiplier for the growth and development of all related economic activities. Say growth of urban areas, growth of industrial centers, growth of social development centers, health centers, education centers. These are some of those important points related to what is a good transport system. So keep this as a generic point here, and you can always add like a case study that the backwardness of regions is linked to non-development of transport network in most cases. Se bata dein northeastern India, in terms of length of roads and expressways, Northeast India has less than 3% of India's network of highways and expressways. But as a region, it makes up about 12% of India's area. It makes up almost 12% of India's area. Northeast mein, the development growth prospects is depressed by at least 7% because of lack of connectivity. In terms of roads, it has only one major highway, okay, through Jalpaiguri, connecting Assam and the Northeast. So, like a case study. Okay, that's why this one more case study is that because of rural roads program, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, rural development has increased by 9% points. Rural areas are better connected to markets, to urban areas, to industrial processing centers after rural roads program. That's why road connectivity, hence road connectivity is integral to IRDP projects. As a case study again, development of Punjab in Green Revolution is not only because of irrigation, but because of better connectivity in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP compared to other agricultural regions of India. Okay? So ये एक general है. Transportation, roads के importance क्या है? Okay, with points. Now, I will discuss specifically about the role of ports in economic development. ये अपने आप में क्वेश्चन बन सकता है. Lot of focus on ports also in economic development. The first discussion is that, and don't do more than 2 or 3 lines. Historically, the emergence of global power started with sea navigations, ports and maritime trade. Okay, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the English, historically, it has been from there. Some of the most influential centers of the world have been port cities. Historically, they have been port cities. So London, Rotterdam, Hamburg, okay, Marseille in France, Marseilles, New York, Tokyo, they all have been ports. Start from here. Next point. In India, there is a typical port-centric development pattern. Kolkata, Chennai, Kochi, Mumbai, Vizag, Mangalore, Kandla. Okay, ये जो ports हैं, they cover more than 90% of India's high growth regions. Eastern India, Eastern, Western, Central and South wala. In fact, you can add here that one of the limitations of Northern India and its relative lesser development has been lack of coastlines. तो एक global बता दिया, एक India वाला बता दिया. Third लिखे आप, write down. Presence of ports, access to sea lines of communication has direct security implications, as is obvious through rimland theories, rise of China, the significance of Indian Ocean, and India's Indian Ocean vision is port-centric approach. Now I'm mentioning one of the scholars, okay, article tha, research paper hai. According to research by Berkoz, there is a direct correlation between port development and gross national income. Ports support wider trade activity, expand access to more range of goods and services, help control commodity prices, and ports become the basis of ancillary activities and ancillary supporting sectors. 5 sector हैं जो directly port based होते हैं. One is oil refinery, petrochemical sector, then heavy chemical industries, next export based sectors like automobiles, RMG, ready-made garments, electronics, जो export वाले हैं. Third are finance services, okay, related to the activities, and in most countries, the special economic zones, they are generally port-based. So they together become what's part of your port-based ancillary sectors and economic activities. Okay? Okay. Right, next. As a case study, I'm taking up Mundra Port. Historically, Mundra Port was more important for salts, more important for certain type of dyes and garment textiles and spices. And historically, it was a small port dealing with these things. The modern Mundra port is multi-commodities, including petrochemicals, agriculture, textiles, coal, heavy engineering equipments, automobiles, etc. It's one of the largest ports of India in terms of capacities. It has the largest coal handling unit. Advantage of Mundra port in terms of exports जो है, exports में, it has proximity with Persian Gulf, proximity with Red Sea, Suez Canal route. It has proximity with Iran-based Iran, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan connectivity network. एक तो आपका INSTC है with Mumbai. I hope you know this. Mumbai वाला जो बंदर अब्बास के साथ में, it goes into Akshabad and up to Moscow वाला, वो अलग वाला है. एक नया वाला है. Iran. Okay, Iran with Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan, one access to Central Asia. So in terms of exports, इसका ये advantage है. So what you can do is you can draw this thing. Okay, so somewhere here, so access to Persian Gulf, access to this, and then it goes into Kazakhstan, and access through this into this. Okay, this has much more better connectivity compared to Mumbai. Mumbai will have a bit more distance compared to Persian Gulf and Iran. ये हो गया export वाला proximity. In terms of its location, with respect to the Indian hinterland, ये तो export वाला हो गया. In terms of India's hinterland, so Kutch, okay, this is Kandla here. Kandla is here. Now it has link with Dahej LPG terminal, link with Ankleshwar. It has link with Jaipur. It has link with Jamnagar. So Kandla and Mundra and Kandla, Mundra, they can dominate the access to northwestern India, and whereby reducing dependence on and decongesting Mumbai port. Reducing dependence on and reducing dependence on, decongestion and dependence on the Bombay port. Nhava Sheva, Bombay port. जामनगर से है, दहेज अंकलेश्वर के साथ है, जयपुर के साथ है. So if you have a dotted line here, ये जो नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न इंडिया का जो पूरा रीच है, this can take care. In fact, that with Jamnagar, Kandla, Surat, Dahej, and Bhavnagar, Gujarat, of course, and even Mundra, Gujarat can become the country's first maritime-based trade and production state of India. And I hope you know Gujarat has India's longest coastline. Okay, so the locations Gujarat में क्या-क्या हैं? ये आपको diagrams बनाने हैं. So you have first Kandla port, then you have Mundra port. This is Dahej port near Hazira. South में you have Surat port. यहाँ पर you have Bhavnagar, and this is Jamnagar. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this makes, and small fishing ports you have got at Porbandar also, at Dwarka also. So Gujarat kind of can develop as India's first port-based, maritime-based trade production state of India. इसके अलावा Mundra port support क्या-क्या करता है? It supports an SEZ called as Pipavav, Pozitra Pipavav. This has support of both Kandla and also Mundra. Pipavav, it supports a thermal plant at Mundra. In fact, Mundra imports coal from Indonesia. It becomes the basis of Western India's energy diversification. For diversification, Western India, we already had HEP plants थे हमारे पास. We had oil-based plants. We had your nuclear power plants. Solar भी है. What was missing is coal-based. Because Western India में coal है नहीं. Okay, that's why in this, दो तीन centers हैं. एक सूरत में है. You have this Kandla and Mundra region. They are those large ultra, thermal power plants जो हैं. Okay, so this with coal at Mundra, the West India now becomes more energy diversified. Okay, no longer only on one or two type of sources. Okay, so Mundra facilitates that, and Mundra is part of India's Sagarmala project. Now see, last time port pe question पूछा है, but that doesn't mean you can't write about ports when talking about transportation. कोई भी question आएगा, importance of transportation क्या है? Give example, whatever. Take up Mundra, अच्छा खासा example with map बन जाएगा आपका, and show all of the details you can show. The proximity, what type of goods, okay, what type of. Yes, you're right. Mundra is among the deep water ports. One of the biggest deep water ports, one of the biggest all-weather ports. It has geographical advantage of secluded waters because of the Gulf of Kutch. It's a very advantageous location, and proximity to Pakistan, to West Asia. So it can also have an element of security. Okay? And a conclusion here is ports like Mundra, they are multimodal transport hubs because railway connectivity hai, pass mein airport, Bhuj airport is nearby. Okay, shipping bhi ho gaya aapka. So they become multimodal transport hubs. They are more diversified in terms of economic activities, and they are therefore very effective growth centers. Centers like Mundra, they're very effective growth centers. ठीक है? That's your conclusion about the ports. अच्छा, एक point आप add कर सकते हो, maybe beginning में, वो ports में. The ports are the most important component of India's integration with the global supply chains, India's access to global markets, and I hope you know this target. Recently, the trade policy launch हुआ है. The target is to achieve $2 trillion exports by 2030. India's trade policy is to achieve $2 trillion exports by 2030. Currently, we are about $670, $690 billion. बस इतना ही पढ़ के जाओ. If you have done the first question and this one, ICT ports में आपके आंसर बन जाएंगे. So I'm done this with this topic. Next one, as a part of road transport, something on industrial corridor. The next one is industrial corridor. देखो ये सारे terms ऐसी बात नहीं है, नहीं पता है. It's just that कि map के साथ में, specifics के साथ में, then you are trapped. Okay, and I want you to draw maps and show what all, and bring some geographical terms wherever you can. ठीक है? So how you use it? Industrial corridor, इसको आप link कर देना with the freight corridor. Link this with a road and a railway connectivity. इसको साथ ही लिखना. Any question on this? इधर आ जाना. On this, इधर आ जाना. Because you cannot have industrial corridors without talking about road, railways and freight corridors. ठीक है? Okay, now. इसमें कोई भी question हो, the beginning starting point है, देखो, जो historical and the traditional agglomerations of industries हैं, write down. The traditional and the historical agglomerations of industries, of urban areas are more localized and centered around one or two cities which are in proximity. जैसे कि Mumbai, Thane, Pune industrial region agglomeration, or Gandhinagar, Ahmedabad, Sanand, Mehsana industrial agglomeration, or Kolkata, Hooghly agglomeration. Okay? What I'm saying, number one is, if you look at the traditional agglomerations, they are centered around one city or maybe two or three cities, but they are in proximity. They are around one another. So agglomerations as इस type के बन जाते हैं. The agglomerations are of this kind. Okay? Around some. And what these agglomerations do is, they end up in development of mega cities. Kolkata mega city, okay, Chennai mega city, okay, they become mega cities. इसके चार problems होते हैं. This kind of agglomerations. By the way, understand this, agglomerations are advantageous. Agglomerations are good because they help reduce costs, there's competition, labor availability, So it's good in general, but there are some problems with these type of agglomerations. What problems are? Number one, result in very high economic disparities across regions. Lot of spatial inequalities. That's one. Number two, the cities develop problems of congestion, pollution. जो हो रहा है आपका Delhi region, Kanpur region, Kolkata, Hooghly congestion, pollution, high economic rentals. There are diseconomies of scale operating. Eventually, these agglomerations become inefficient and wasteful. And these agglomerations, they are centers of very high in-migration. And such agglomerations, the economic activity hota hai, it is not always well diversified nahi hota hai. So if I say Mumbai region, I know electronics, petrochemicals, they dominate. Gujarat region, again, petrochemicals dominate. You go to Chennai, Coimbatore, you have got more of textile. So ऐसे 2-3 sectors में they dominate. Most of these will dominate in few sectors. There is not much diversification. Typically, they become centers of cumulative causation, and they are suction pumps. In such agglomerations, there is very limited dispersal of development. There is very limited dispersal of development. So, ये आपका conceptual है, and I'll suggest please do draw maps. Okay, so this is the Gujarat region, Ahmedabad. ये आपका industrial region है. Come down here, Mumbai, Pune, ये region है. इधर आओगे आप. So this is Howrah, Kolkata industrial region. Okay, so they are still localized in that sense. And though they do have effect, but they affect largely in terms of attracting migrants. They attract migrants. They attract migrants. They attract migrants. They have congestion problems and so on. They become mega cities. They have congestions. They have cumulative causation process operating. They lead to very high regional disparities. They are not well diversified. Now, it is this disadvantage that freight corridors and these above disadvantage, these above a disadvantage, the freight corridors and the industrial corridors help address. So, ये corridors हैं क्या? देखो question इसमें पूछा या इसमें doesn't matter. या जनरली अगर पूछा ट्रांसपोर्ट में भी ये डाल देना एज ए केस स्टडी व्हाट डू ट्रांसपोर्ट एरियल रूट्स डू दे डेवलप अ कॉरिडोर एंड देन डिस्कशन स्टार्ट्स ऑन कॉरिडोर्स ठीक है सो व्हाट आर द कॉरिडोर्स राइट डाउन द कॉरिडोर्स आर क्लस्टर्स ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटीज अर्बन सेंटर्स that develop along certain arterial connectivity routes which may be highways, expressways, or railways. They integrate ports, major urban centers, manufacturing units with population regions. They are not typical. Next point. They are not typical industrial agglomerations around few cities, around 1 or 2 or few cities. Right. Next. Such corridors typically include 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Okay, connectivity between major transport hubs. They can be airports, ports, railway junctions, airports, even water transport, inland water transport hubs. For example, DMIC, Delhi, Mumbai Industrial Corridor, DMIC, integrates Mumbai, Surat, Vadodara, ये सारे ports हैं. Within bracket as ports with Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Delhi, airports, and at least 7 major junctions, 7 major railway junctions. Next, such corridors include a diverse range of industrial activities. फिर से DMIC लिखें, integrates at least 10 major industrial hubs with at least 15 differentiated products. 15 differentiated products. 6-7 लिख लो. Automobile centers हैं इसमें. Automobile centers, textile centers, the petrochemical centers, heavy engineering centers, steel plants, and FMCG centers. Electronics FMCG centers. Okay, so very good diversification. जैसे Delhi, Ahmedabad, Mumbai become automobile centers. Ankleshwar, Ahmedabad, Mumbai become petrochemical centers. Textile centers of Mumbai, Gujarat region, garment handlooms of Rajasthan, IT centers of again Mumbai, okay, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, and Delhi. Okay, so दो advantage. एक बताया मैंने कि they connect diverse range of transport hubs. Number two, they connect diverse range of manufacturing economic activities. Third, they also include complementary infrastructure centers such as knowledge parks, townships, real estate centers, education hubs, and rural agriculture industrial regions. Okay? So, diverse transport hubs, diverse manufacturing centers, and diverse type of activities. इसमें आपका एजुकेशन भी आ गया, इसमें आपके आईटी पार्क्स आ गया, लॉजिस्टिक हब्स आ गया, रूरल प्रोडक्ट्स आ गए. That's why we say that either of them, freight corridors or inland corridors, they are some of the best models of interstate regional integration for balanced development. Four traditional problems which are typical of older agglomerations, okay, are taken care of. One is there is less in-migration from backward regions. जैसे कि DMIC जो है, DMIC, it has proximity with Kathiawar backward region, proximity with Kutch backward region, it has proximity with a central Indian backward region, plus with the dry, hot western Rajasthan regions. तो लोगों को ना सारे आके मुंबई नहीं पहुंचेंगे फिर. If you have only one center as Mumbai, तो सब यहीं आके पहुंच रहे थे. Everybody was coming here. Everybody comes here. Now because you have a corridor like this, okay, what it does is that यहाँ के लोग यहीं आ गए. Okay, from here they come here, from here they come here, from here they come here. So there is less of congestion problems. Okay, the in-migration problems are not as severe. That's one disadvantage taken care of. Second disadvantage is that in time, such corridors become centers of competitive production in terms of costs and in terms of quality, because such corridors integrate raw material centers with production centers more efficiently. They integrate labor more efficiently. Third, the centers within the corridors are more effective growth centers with regional relevance and hence are better in employment generation, employment opportunities. And fourth, I said they address regional inequalities. So agar aapko transport पूछा, take it towards this, the transport, road, railway, जो भी है, they encourage corridors, then write on corridors itself. अगर directly पूछा corridor, तो आपका answer बना हुआ है, not a problem here. Okay. And for facts में, India has 6 industrial corridors in making. One is Delhi Mumbai industrial corridor, और एक है Mumbai Bangalore corridor, एक है Bangalore Chennai industrial corridor. One is Chennai Vizag corridor. Then we have the Eastern corridor. This is from Amritsar, Ludhiana up to Dankuni in West Bengal. One is Kochi, Bangalore. तो इसको please आप बना के दिखा देना. What are the 6 corridors? Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Kochi, say Vizag, Amritsar, and Bengal. So this is one, this is one, this is one. अलग-अलग color कर लेना आप लोग. This, whatever color you can apply. That's it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 numbering करके. And specifically you can mention DMIC because this is the fastest developing one. DMIC. DMIC के route में you have got Delhi, Surat, Vadodara, Gandhinagar, Ahmedabad, Palanpur in Gujarat, Ajmer, Jaipur, Rewari, Delhi, Dadri. Actually, Dadri tak hai, but Delhi, Dadri, put them together. So Mumbai, Surat, Vadodara, Gandhinagar, somewhere here Palanpur, we have Ajmer, we have Jaipur, and say Delhi. Something like this. This is Gandhinagar. This is Palanpur, this is Ajmer, Jaipur, Delhi, Dadri. बीच में रेवड़ी भी है. And what you do is, for 3-4 centers, do mention the activities. जैसे Mumbai port, Mumbai textiles, Mumbai petrochemicals. Surat, gems and jewelry and textiles. Vadodara, petrochemicals. Gandhinagar, this is petrochemicals. It also is automobile, it also is textiles. Ajmer, Jaipur, this is largely textiles, handlooms. And Delhi, Dadri, electronics, automobiles. You also have IT centers. Show this diversification. This corridor becomes the way how the spread can happen. I was avoiding Gunnar Midal because Gunnar Midal didn't talk in terms of one corridor alone. Okay, but just mention leads to spread of development and less of concentration, less of inequalities. Or iska proximity advantage kya hai? Okay, the advantage of this is this corridor. This corridor has an advantage with proximity with Kandla region. It has proximity with even the Punjab and Western UP region. Punjab region and parts of your Western UP. Let me show this part here. Punjab, Haryana region. It has proximity with the Vidarbha region. This can come on this side. This can come on this side. This can come on this side. It has proximity with the central hill region. जितना आप दिखाओगे मैप में, डायग्राम्स में, उतना effective आपका write up होगा. Okay, so your naming can be DMIC. You heading up दे देना इसको. This is DMIC. Important centers, important associated industrial activities, and proximity with adjacent regions. To show this, the examiner while checking, he knows what to look for. Okay? So one of this is sufficient. You don't need to draw all of them. Yeah, I'm done with this topic. The next topic is, let's take up something on foreign trade. India's foreign trade. Why I think it can be an answer is the question, because recently we have launched the foreign trade policy of India is in that context. Foreign trade policy of India 23 किया हमने. It has come in effect from April 1st. अच्छा, by the way, a lot of these concepts, no, geography option में नहीं आएगा तो आपका GS में आ जाएगा. Okay, I mean that's how I've seen over the years has mapped out. बहुत चीज मैं पढ़ाता हूँ geography में, and I find कि GS में होता है, वहाँ लिखे आते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, हमें तो मार्क्स चाहिए ना. वो 10 मार्क्स यहाँ से आए कि वहाँ से, how does it matter? Okay, but with geography perspective, you have a better understanding of the issue. ठीक है? Okay, right now we start with again trade. Okay, a brief one paragraph on the जो points applicable tha for transport. The same points apply for trade, which are trade as a basis of integration, trades as the basis of economic development, trade the basis of a regional integration, a regional development, integration, employment generation, trade the basis of access to diverse commodities. No region, no country can manufacture or produce all type of commodities. तो यही तो है आपका concept है ना, comparative cost theory जो आपका है. So without trade, not only we are limited in terms of economic growth and development, but also in terms of access and use of important critical resources and commodities. So एक star mark लगाएं यहाँ पर, right down here, that trade is the basis of spatial interaction, while transport aids it. ये दोनों इसीलिए साथ चलते हैं. You cannot have trade without transport, and transport makes no sense without trade. Trade is the basis of the interaction, and transport aids it. They are dependent on each other, trade and transport. ये एक paragraph हो गया. The second is historically again, trade has been the basis of economic and military power. The growing significance of Central Asia, the exponential rise of significance of Indian Ocean, the rise of China, otherwise also called as the soft rise of China जो हुआ 80s and 90s में, it was because of global trade. So first discussion कि trade essential है, without we can't survive. Second is trade the basis of spatial integration. Third theme was that trade is also basis of other type of power. जो military power है, जो economic powerhouse है, they all are related to trade itself. And the fourth point is that trade develops development centers like cities and ports, which become the basis of spread of growth. जितने trade centers होते हैं, okay, they all act as growth centers. Major markets, major ports, major airports, all of them act as major growth centers. The next point, now some facts. India is among the top 10 global trading centers of the world. Post-pandemic, India's global trade has been most robust. It has been most robust. It's a growth in both. Growth exports में भी है और growth imports में भी है. Both has increased. Next, the major products, the major baskets हैं, basket of goods जो है Indian trade में. It includes electronics, gems jewelry, ready-made garments, textiles, drug pharmaceuticals, rice, leather products, oil seeds, tea, coffee, oil and petrochemicals. इसको ना don't just write as comma. ठीक है, आप एक काम करना, maybe make a pie chart type. You may not know the exact figure, doesn't matter. Okay, or you can make a schematic. Okay, these are the major baskets, basket of commodities. इसमें के major share जो है will belong to gems jewelries, textiles, will belong to your oil products. Okay, even electronics are a major component, imports ke. And as a trade, I mean both import and exports. Okay, to show that in a pictorial form. That's one. The next side down, second fact. The third fact is, the recent years has seen a relative decline in exports of iron ore, decline in steel, export of steel, decline in organic chemicals. A main reason hoga because of suppressed global demand, economic recession. But India continues to have a robust domestic demand, which as of now has led to high trade deficit, approximately about $200 billion ka deficit, but the outlook is not as poor. Next slide down. India's trade policy includes the following objectives. So सारा economy नहीं लिखेंगे हम, geography वाला important होगा. One is, I said, $2 trillion exports by 2030. Number two is facilitation of exports by supporting infrastructure, by increased digitization, and with better capacity building and training. The focus is on improving the ease of doing business in India. I mean, your statement mentions this, that we are shifting from incentive-based export promotion towards a capability building based export promotion. Incentives का मतलब क्या, आप इतना करोगे तो आपको इतना tax benefit मिल जाएगा, आप ये करो तो आपको ये इतना loan मिल जाएगा, वो incentive based हो गया. But what we are doing is we are moving away from that. We want to facilitate processing, storage, faster clearance of documents, less of tariffs. हम वो करना चाह रहे हैं. So from incentive based, we want to facilitate with better ease of doing business, with better capacity building, with more robust infrastructure like let's work on the ports, container yards, and so on. इसके अलावा, there is an explicit focus on building partnerships at districts and local level. Okay, so, इसके अंदर में, we have done three things. One is expanded the list of TEE, Towns of Export Excellence. This is the location thing. Towns of Local Excellence, TEE. 39 थे और हमने 4 और add कर दिया. So we have 43 Towns of Export Excellence. I have the list with me from PIB. 4-5 लिख लो along with the products that they have. Okay, and this I will want you to draw a map and show it. Like Tirupur is textile hosiery, Ludhiana knitwear, woolen knitwear, Panipat woolen blankets, Karur handlooms, Madurai handlooms, Jodhpur handicrafts, Jodhpur, Jaipur, Srinagar, Anantnag handicrafts, Surat gems and jewelry, Alleppey coir products, Kollam cashew products, Indore soya products, Vishakhapatnam seafood, Agartala bamboo. So this list से and others, ठीक है? इस list से what is obvious is number one, that the export TEEs are more widespread and dispersed. So northeast से भी है, Srinagar भी है, south भी है, west भी है. They're more widespread. They're more dispersed. The second is the product range is wider. Handloom, textile, agriculture, and the product ranges are local traditional. You want to focus on local produce. क्या advantage क्या होगा? Balanced trade development, better local participation, and more geographical representation. That's one. And then the focus includes, next, this is about the TE. The second is the policy also includes developing districts as export hubs for grassroots trade ecosystem. इसमें भी वही component है. एक तो आपने towns identify कर लिया, 43 of them, plus we want the districts across the country to be also part of the process. There's the geographical representation or better है. Next slide down. The trade policy focuses on emerging areas of products इंडिया का ना 6-7 ट्रेडिशनल एरियाज हैं, लाइक जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी ट्रेडिशनल है, ऐसे आई मीन इट्स हिस्टोरिकल, gems jewelries, textile and garments, coal, iron ore and steel. I talk about agriculture products like sugar cane, like rice, the sugar, rice, onions. So these are traditional ones. So what we're doing is now we want to expand our export basket. So in export basket में we're talking about emerging products. Emerging products में याद रखो SCOMET, SCOMET. स्कोमेट ये बहुत जगह यूज होता है, आप यूज करना, जीएस में करना. स्कोमेट इज स्पेशल केमिकल्स, ऑर्गेनिक्स, मटेरियल, देन इक्विपमेंट्स एंड टेक्नोलॉजीज. तो स्कोमेट्स में we'll talk about pharmaceuticals. SCOMET includes pharmaceuticals, modified organisms, it includes semiconductors, chips, new materials like polymers. We want to expand our trading base. ठीक है. The next point is the trade policy has also focused on bilateral trade agreements, which are country specific and advantageous to 3 aspects of Indian trade. One is labor migration, number 2 is IT, and number 3 is agriculture. India UK agreement, India Korea agreement, India Japan, India Australia, whatever we are trying. Okay, ये 3 को हम फोकस कर रहे हैं: माइग्रेशन, लेबर, आईटी सेक्टर एंड एग्रीकल्चर. ओके, so that's about trade. अगर पूछता है what is happening and what's the focus, so that's about trade. Next, India's energy security. ये 3-4 टॉपिक से पक्का क्वेश्चन आएगा. Like one is from food security, one from trade transport. I think I've given a detailed one now. One from your energy security, and one from imbalance of development. Imbalance of traditional question है, pick up from your class notes. Okay, but ये 2-3 जो हैं ये आप ऐड कर लेना. So energy security. So a typical generic question is, what are the issues and challenges related to energy security? Okay, and what are the steps? What can the solutions be for energy security? So what are the issues, challenges, okay, on energy security? What are the steps, solutions for energy security? So typically we know the GS perspective more or less, और जो भी आपके notes में है, I'll add something on this. क्या issues हैं? What are the issues of energy security? 4-5 points. The first is India is a very large energy consuming economy of the world. India's per capita consumption is less, but aggregate is high. And in the future, with our development objectives and growth ambitions, India's energy consumption can only increase. That's one element. So one is, okay, energy availability is our very important. It should be available to us. One. Number 2, India's growth and development is linked to fossil fuel consumption. So though we are trying, but we have not yet delinked our development from oil, gas, coal consumption. Because our challenge is not to bring down energy consumption. Our challenge is to bring down coal consumption, to bring down oil consumption, to bring down gas dependence. हम वो डीलिंग entirely कर नहीं पाए अभी भी. Right, even as of now, thermal and fossil fuel continue to account for more than 50% of India's energy production. So हम डीलिंग नहीं कर पाए. This is one of the reality. Third, India has very high regional imbalances in its energy resources. जैसे Northeast is high on HEP, but largely untapped. Eastern India, coal resources, it needs to moderate. Southern India, high dependence on HEP, but problems of unreliable river water regimes, plus interstate disputes. Western India, traditionally oil and gas based, and some HEP. Central India is largely devoid of major reliable energy resources. Na coal hai yahan par dhang ka, neither do you have enough of rivers to be dammed, hai, but not as diversified. And island regions are chronic energy deficit regions. Okay, so you need to have a map on this. This is your typical geographical perspective. You need to draw this really well. Okay, so this region, this, and also add this part here. This is a very high HEP potential, but it is underutilized. Plus, there are also ecological and social concerns about dams. This is a high coal dependence, but challenges related to coal pollution and India's commitments to climate change targets. This region has high development of HEP, but problems of disputes, problems of river water regimes. This area has high dependence on oil and gas plus HEP, but not well diversified. यहाँ पर cost high है because most of this imported होता है. And Himalayan regions again HEP, but ego problems. So learn to draw such maps. ज़्यादा पैराग्राफ में नहीं लिख के आपने दिखा देना ऐसे करके. And the heading is regional disparities in energy resources and associated challenges. ठीक है? So तीन problem बताया मैंने. One is we continue to be very high in terms of energy demands और आगे बढ़ेगा. Second I said is we have not delinked oil and gas from our development goals. आप oil कम करोगे, gas कम करोगे या coal कम करोगे, आपका development भी फिसल जाएगा. वो हमें नहीं होना चाहिए. We must delink development from fossil fuel, but it can be very high. Third is lot of regional imbalances in terms of resource and the challenge. The fourth problem that India also has very high regional disparities in energy usage, disparity in energy usage and energy-based infrastructure development. So concerned regions are northern plains in general, the rural regions, Western India, Southern India have developed their energy resources comparatively better. The resource may be imbalance or development may be imbalances. In rural areas, we are net energy deficient, and that impacts also our agriculture production, agriculture productivity, performance. It impacts. Next is much of our energy requirements are met by imports. So India is not, as of now, it is neither self-sufficient nor has it developed its entire internal energy resource potential adequately. What I mean to say is here is that our domestic potential बहुत high है अभी भी, because we still have a lot of solar resources, we still have a lot of coal which we can process and use. Okay, but we have not done it well. We have not explored the bulk of our alternative energy and resources. Okay, plus हम बहुत ज़्यादा import कर रहे हैं. Write down that POL continues to be the most dominant commodity of import. Oil and gas alone, accounts for almost 40% of all imports in terms of value, and almost 80% of our oil requirements is imported. So heavy dependence on oil imports. Okay, next point. Because of oil import dependence, India is vulnerable to number one, global price fluctuations, also vulnerable to global conflicts-based disruptions. India में ना 5 major supply regions हैं. The 5 main supply regions क्या है? एक तो Middle East है in general. Middle East is one source of, which includes Saudi Arabia, Arab countries plus Iran. एक region है. Second source region is Russia. Third source region is Nigeria. The fourth region is Australia. And fifth is miscellaneous from parts of US and parts of UK, but not much from there. ये 5 में से, okay, 3 of them are areas of conflicts. Russia-Ukraine conflict, Arab and issues in Iran and Nigeria. Okay, and the 3 regions account for 3/4 of oil imports of India. More than 3/4 of energy imports of India. Australia से oil नहीं है, ये coal है. It's 3/4 of energy imports of India. But the energy import also includes some amount of HEP that we take from Bhutan and Nepal also. Okay, we have developed there, but not much. But just know this: India from Bhutan and also from Nepal, not a big way, but we do import some from there. Bhutan ultimately is energy surplus, and so is Nepal. Because the 5 major regions of energy, okay, 3 of them have conflict and bulk. In fact, the 3 regions, they account for more than 90% of India's oil imports. ये 3 जो हैं, more than 90% of India's oil imports. So my suggestion here again, if not the whole map of the world, at least draw Africa, do show Middle East, okay, maybe something this. So this is one region, ये पूरा region है along with Iran plus this. So these are the areas of oil imports. Australia, Indonesia से we import coal. This is oil. So also is oil. This also is oil. And this one, 2 and 3, more than 90% of oil imports of India. Show in terms of maps. Next, India's recent drive for developing alternative and renewable energy resources is also highly import intensive in terms of technologies. Okay? So solar energy is imported because of those PV cells and batteries. China dominates the world. Any lithium cell technology, EV technology, ये भी import based है. Wind energy technologies are also import based. So while we're diversifying out, we continue to be import based in terms of energy self-sufficiency. Issue of prices, again conflicts. और China के साथ में Chinese trade में, I think Chinese deficit make up almost 40% of Indian trade deficit. Okay, a huge deficit we are running, almost $60 billion का deficit run कर रहे हैं हम लोग. ठीक है? So and big components are these. Lithium technologies, EV cells, solar energy, and another one is uranium जो है, the lot of security dimensions there. It is not freely traded. Uranium technologies is not freely traded. So while we're diversifying out and our logic is environment issues, ठीक है, but हमारा import dependency कम नहीं. That's our point here, right now. So while diversifying out from oil and gas, India has been able to work around or towards ecological objectives. But import dependency of India continues. And the next challenge is climate change commitments, India's nationally determined commitments, NDCs, can impact energy self-sufficiency if India does not develop credible, affordable alternative energy sources. Next point, some of the elements of energy security policy will be number one, developing alternatives to lithium ion batteries. So India develop कर रहा है advanced जो आपका cells है, sodium cells. ये development का एक component. The second is green hydrogen technologies. The third is biofuel options and biofuel technologies, methanol blending and the rest. One of the least developed but high potential is WTE, waste to energy, खासकर for urban area self-sufficiency. So to this, just know this, India has an India Energy Security Scenario, IESS 2047. एक document है, India Energy Security Scenario 2047. It talks about some of these things. And mention those India का जो Panch Amrit goals हैं. You have to integrate GS and all of this. Yeah, India's Panch Amrit goals, the commitments हैं with one is to reach 500 gigawatts of non-fossil energy. 500 gigawatts. अभी कितना इंडिया का प्रोडक्शन है एनर्जी? 400 plus, 420, 410, 430, whatever. India is trying to reach 500 gigawatt. Yeah, 500 gigawatts non-fossil energy capacity. इंडिया का टोटल अभी 400 है प्लस है, but India is aspiring for 500 gigawatts non-fossil energy capacity by 2030. Next, 50% of India's energy requirements from renewable energy by 2030. Reduce carbon intensity of economy by 45% below 2005. Reduce total projected carbon emissions. Reduce total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons by 2030. And achieve the target of net zero emissions by 2070. Geography में आपको डिटेल नहीं, but do mention the 5 important programs. One is or initiative जो है Solar Alliance, ISA, National Solar Mission, NSM, one of the 8 missions that we have, NSM. Then Saubhagya program, Sehaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, and जो hybrid vehicle का program है FAME, manufacturing of hybrid and electrical vehicles, the FAME project. Because I presume that you know some of this already. आपको geography में बस लिखना है term, nothing else. The rest I've given geographical description of what are the issues there. ठीक है? Okay, fine. Then I'm done with economic geography topics. There are 2-3 topics around political geography. So one topic is discuss the security challenges of Northeast India in relation to its geographical reality. So एक secure dimension Northeast वाला, because border पूछा हुआ है, frontiers पूछा हुआ है, the kind of unfortunate developments we have in the Northeast. So I think know some content and see how you can use it. Okay, so I'm giving you the points here. Okay, so first point here is that security is not merely border security and military issues alone. We have a very new, broad understanding of what security is. It's no longer only about border security, not only about military security. Security includes, from a GS, it includes conflicts, inequalities, it includes economic reverses, food crisis, environmental vulnerabilities, resource constraints that can impact long-term development. So when I ask a question security, never, geography mein otherwise also, never keep it to border issues alone. The moment I say कि environment भी बताओ, economic issue भी बताओ, because of what conflicts we have, वो बताओ, then you're wrong. Keep your discussion around these 6-7 points. So write down next, security, vulnerability of the Northeast. So number 1 is border issues related to the geopolitical ambitions of China and its disregard of India's international borders. ठीक है, तो 2 जगह impact हो रहा है. One is the eastern sector, the McMahon line. Second is its influence on Bhutan, the military base around the Bhutan borders, Doklam. And third, you can always add that it's China's persistent and unwarranted dispute around Sikkim status. इसका main reason यही है. It is the Himalayan frontiers. Geographical factor क्या है? Is the Himalayan frontiers, open borders, difficult to patrol. Don't say open, say porous borders. Porous borders, difficult to patrol, demarcate, plus the colonial legacy. And एक और geographical angle है that the common cultural, you can say, elements of Arunachal Pradesh, Tawang Valley and Tibet. ये भी cultural, ये भी geographical होगा. And that's why China calls Tawang region as Little Tibet. So ये continuity also impacts. In some ways, the McMahon line is an example of a superimposed boundary, plus difficult to demarcate because of the terrain, climate. ये जो cultural continuity है, it has historically been maintained through the trade passes. So Bumla Pass, okay, you have Nathula Pass, you have Chumbi Valley. I hope you have heard these names. Bumla, Bomdila Pass. Look at Sikkim, Bhutan here, like this. We have pass here. We have got passes here. This area is the Tawang Valley region. Yahan par, somewhere here, this is the Nathula Pass. This is the Jelepla Pass. Yahin par you have this Chumbi Valley. So these passes, the valleys, okay, they have been the basis of historical, cultural connection that now China exploits with other disregard to India's sovereignties. Because that's one. Second is India-Myanmar border is again a porous border. There is geographical continuity. There is ethnic continuity. Okay, the Zumi, Kuki, Chin tribes, they have historical ethnic relations. Zumi tribes, Z-U-M-S, Zumi, Mizo, Kuki and Chin tribes. Chin tribes are in Myanmar. The Kuki tribes are across the borders. Naga tribes also across the borders. So India-Myanmar mein, there is no border dispute. The problem is, okay, it is porous borders. There is cultural, ethnic relationships responsible for some of the tribal conflicts of Northeast. ये भी geographical factor है. Third, the Northeastern climate and its location has favored rich biodiversity, flora, fauna, species, which have very high economic value, very high commercial value. जैसे कि teak, agarwood, plus okay, fauna like rhinoceros, tigers. So this is an incentive for cross-border smuggling, teak smuggling, agarwood smuggling, rhinoceros poaching, which becomes a threat for security. So please draw the boundaries for this again. Show this. जितने भी आपके discussions इस type के होंगे, make sure that you have drawn. So we have these areas as teak forests. Meghalaya region, ये region जो है, this is agarwood. Agarwood, one type of product for incense. Okay, smell वगैरह fragrance के लिए होता है. Then we have rich diversity of fauna, Kaziranga and the rest. यहाँ पर एक आपका Namdafa. You also have Dibru Saikova Biosphere Reserve, Namdafa National Park. We also ऊपर जाएंगे तो आप it is Dihang Biosphere Reserve. Okay, this is Kaziranga region. Unique rhinoceros, tiger population, elephant population. So ivory smuggling, rhinoceros horn smuggling, tiger hide smuggling. Okay? So some names of national parks, buffer reserves, some species of the forests. This is also geographical reason. The next one, Northeast India is an example of prorrupt state extensions. ये term सुना आपने पहले? Prorrupt, P-R-O-R-U-P-T. If I have a country का अलग-अलग shapes होते हैं. This is a compact country. This is an elongated country. Okay. This is a fragmented country. Indonesia fragmented है. और कोई country का ऐसा projection अलग से हो जाता है, इसको बोलते हैं prorrupt. Okay. So it's like a projection of a part. So Northeast जो है, वो India का एक prorrupt extension है. So what happens in these extensions are that these kind of regions generally have a sense of relative isolation from the rest of the country. And this further aggravates because of a unique ethnicity, unique language, a different cultural heritage that gives them a unique identity. So this becomes the basis of regionalism and tribal identity-based nationalism of Northeast and its adverse consequences like Naga nationalism, Mizo nationalism, Bodo nationalism, Kuki nationalism, and so on. So for a long time, Northeast was like one of the disturbed areas of India. And that's how we have this Armed Forces Special Powers Act. So prorrupt state का एक problem है. ये अलग रहता है, different identities, plus they have got different type of historical and ethnic roots here. That's geographical. The next is the security problem also because of lack of development and a perceived sense of relative exploitation and neglect. Perceived क्या है? Reality है. Let's stop being too diplomatic here. Fact तो ये है, this area has been neglected. A sense of that anger is there. There is neglect, a sense of exploitation. I mean, biggest consequence is lack of employment prospects. There is youth disillusionment, high out-migration. उसके ऊपर में racism, It's unfortunate the way we address the people here. Many cases we are so surprised some of them can speak Hindi. It's almost like they have come from outer world types. It's very humiliating, all those kind of interactions. Racism India में रहा है. Okay, the Northeast population has not been very well received in many parts of India. It's like, we want the land, we don't want the people. Okay, we have a lot of reverence for the land. So that's one reason. Okay, so lack of development. इसका geographical factor ये है, difficult geography, terrain, connectivity. We have unstable slopes, steep slopes, very difficult agroclimatic conditions. अच्छा, इसी के साथ में है Northeast में जो oil discovery and the big boy Assam oil fields have not been well invested in and therefore lack of supporting industries. आपने बस pipeline लगा के तेल निकाल लिया इधर. You have the refineries at Bongaigaon, you have refineries at Barauni. You don't invest in the development there. Always sense of कि हमारा oil लेके जा रहे हैं, use कर रहे हैं, but okay, not much done. So the bad terrain, this has aggravated lack of transport is a very basic minimum thing in any development. आपके roads, I know of somebody बता रहे थे, somebody was traveling IAS traveling from Itanagar to his posting in some remote region, उसको 3 दिन लगा पहुंचने के लिए, and so frustrating for him, तो पहुंचकर ही रिजाइन कि मैंने हो गया, मुझे काम ही नहीं करना, मैं दोबारा एग्जाम दे के होगा, अच्छी बात है. If I every time I go for 3 days, I can't come home when I want to come home. Like I'm always under the pressure of being isolated. So he took the flight, landed in Itanagar. On the road, he decided कि हो गया मुझे. So next week he came back. Example है कि road अगर नहीं है, very basic amenity, you don't have problems there. So development. Then next is the northeast proximity with the Golden Triangle drug trade. Myanmar, Thailand and Laos. इसको हम बोलते हैं Golden Triangle of drug trade, poppy cultivation, okay, opium. So lot of smuggling across the borders, across Myanmar border, China border, and that's again another issue of threat. Why? Because this drug, you can say profits, the drug profits, okay, they fuel and finance the insurgencies in the northeast. ठीक है, so that's about geographical location बता दिया आपको मैंने. अच्छा, एक और point add कर सकते हो that another big disadvantage is that the northeast does not have access to a sea route. It has longer boundaries with Bangladesh, Myanmar, and we have not succeeded in developing a good, credible access to seaport for the northeast. So that's about northeast. Quickly, 2 short topics. I'll just quickly hint on this. I think Andaman Nicobar important rahega. Okay, now come towards Andaman Nicobar. Okay, so you start the answer on maybe brief on what Andaman Nicobar is in terms of geographical Andaman Nicobar Islands. Geographical में volcanic archipelago है ये. This is nearer to Indonesia. Okay, just about 30-40 nautical miles. Indonesia. The Andaman Sea जो है, it shares maritime boundaries with Thailand because of Andaman Sea. Plus, of course, we also have the boundary with Myanmar, with Bangladesh and rest. And Andaman Nicobar Islands, tropical forests, PVTGs, and do mention the potential trade routes. And do have in a box the importance of Indian Ocean trade route. As of now, this is the most significant trade route. Almost 75% of the world's trade, ocean trade is here. This is the area accounts for almost 50% of the world's oil consumption, the Indian Ocean region. Established Indian Ocean important hai. And Indian Ocean and Andaman Nicobar Islands ka proximity with 3 very important areas. Is proximity with Southeast Asia and ASEAN. Its proximity with South China Sea and its proximity with the Malacca Strait. To establish that Andaman Nicobar Islands are important. Like important in terms of their geology, important in terms of their location, importance in terms of their ecology. Rainforests, okay, tribes, volcanic regions. So a bit of geography bata diya. Okay, next. Now we have this project called as the Great Nicobar Island Project, GNI project. Okay, the figure says it's worth almost 72,000 crores. And the project envisages 5 things. Number 1 is development of transshipment terminal, development of a greenfields international airport. Third is energy plants, 1 gas-based plant and a solar-based plant, energy plant, and development of a township. एक container yard होगा, एक airport है, एक township है, और energy. And the development of this port will be around the area called as Galathea Bay, Galathea, Galathea Bay, and in the area of Campbell Bay. And the purpose of this is to develop Great Nicobar as a strategic port location along the Indian Ocean trade route. Apart from this, do know that Andaman Nicobar Islands already has a naval base, Port Blair. It is India's only tri-service command. Therefore, the Naval Army, okay, they are part of one command. Like India is trying to convert its entire armed forces into into this kind of theater command. Okay, वो 4-5 proposals हैं उसमें. But as of now, Andaman Nicobar, okay, is India's only tri-service, okay, military command. Okay, it tells us there is lot of military significance of Andaman Nicobar Islands. Okay, in terms of military significance, okay, so you could draw this maybe. That's India's map. We have Sri Lanka, Colombo, Hanbantota. This is the equator. Somewhere here, we have Diego Garcia, Andaman Nicobar Islands, say something like this. This here, this is Cocos Island. Cocos Island is the Chinese base, Cocos Island. That's Sumatra here. This is the Malacca Strait. So ये सब Hanbantota is Chinese base. Diego Garcia, NATO UK base. This again is a Chinese base. Malacca is an important security. So this is what establishes the importance of Andaman Nicobar Islands. The distance is almost like equidistance. So map bana ke dikhate. You don't have to be accurate, but make whatever you can. Andaman Nicobar, Great Nicobar project, the command, its proximity with Malacca Strait, Cocos Island, Hanbantota, Sri Lanka, Diego Garcia. So it's like Andaman Nicobar Islands are India's answers to China's Malacca dilemma. Okay? That's one. Number two, Andaman Nicobar Islands, India's major island territory to counter China's string of pearls and maritime Silk Route strategy. अब अगर देखोगे ना, if you look at Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, and this part here, इधर ना इंडिया के 3-4 bases हैं. We have a base with the Seychelles. We have a base with Mauritius. With Maldives, we have something. With the Union Island, because of France, we have something. But इधर ना हमारे पास कुछ भी नहीं है. On this side, we do have understanding with Indonesia, understanding with Australia, but they are more like dialogue partnerships. But India का naval base as in presence ऐसा नहीं है यहाँ पर. और recently we did give them some frigate destroyers to Indonesia. हमने दे दिया उनको as support part. We are trying to support Vietnam and their naval forces. But on this side, India does not have a concrete base, naval base nahi, at this point here. That if you look at Indian Ocean, next point, if we analyze Indian Ocean, India has a fair naval military presence in the Western Indian Ocean. Let's say Iran, we have the Chabahar port, plus some collaboration also in Bandar Abbas. With UAE, we again have some arrangement to use their facilities. हम use कर सकते हैं. Okay. In fact, there is a base. There's a port called as Port Dukum, DU. Okay. इसमें India has permission to use it for its naval purpose with UAE. Sorry, with Oman, not UAE. This is with Oman. With Oman, we have an arrangement. हमारा presence है. With Seychelles, we have a base at Assumption Island. Mauritius, we have a naval facility. We don't call that as a base, but we have a naval facility with patrolling rights. We have naval facility at Madagascar. Indian Navy can use the port, Madagascar. And we also have an arrangement, France and Reunion Island. So we have some presence on this side. Next. But on the Eastern Indian Ocean, in particularly the Bay of Bengal, India does not have any such naval presence with a port or a base other than what we have at Andaman Nicobar Islands. So what you should do is, अच्छा हमारा एक base Socotra में भी है. This is Socotra. That's Madagascar. This is Reunion Island. This is Mauritius. We have some islands here. Seychelles. This is Diego Garcia, and that's Maldives. So we have Maldives. We have some collaboration. Diego Garcia is American UK base. Reunion Island. This is Mauritius. This is Seychelles. Socotra. So हमारा presence जो है, we have at Socotra, Seychelles, Islands, this Mauritius, Maldives. But this part looks a bit vacant here. And this critical part. Why? Because this is where we have the Strait of Malacca and the rest. Okay, so if I'm countering the Chinese string of pearls, countering the maritime Silk Route strategy of China, okay, Andaman Nicobar is our only option for now. और हमारे just ऊपर अंडमान के ऊपर में यहीं पर you have your Cocos Island. Cocos Island is Myanmar, okay, where China has a base. Okay, so that's one. And the answer towards okay, what are the challenges, or what are those concerns that we have for Andaman Nicobar Islands? 4 concerns hai. One is these are coral reefs. Okay, very fragile coral reefs. Coral bleaching is a problem here. Marine environment is a problem here. That's one concern. The second concern is the ecosystem in terms of the forests, dense tropical forests, mangroves, and the area comes under Coastal Regulation Zone 1. That's why NGT has not given its approval. It has blocked this Nicobar project. This is one problem. The third problem is the PVTGs. Nicobar Islands has Nicobarese tribes. It has the Shompen tribes. Shompen just about less than 200 log hain. Shompen tribes, Nicobarese tribes, both are particularly vulnerable tribal groups and they're endangered. And the fourth is that this region has problems of pollution related to oil spills, waste disposal. So any more human activities will aggravate the problem. There's a Pacific garbage patch. We don't have a garbage patch, but we do have the pollutants of the Bay of Bengal zone. Essentially, the development project, it does not have an EIA clearance. It's environmental and social issues. They are the limitation for the development. Apart from this, of course, sea level rise and the threats of submergence bhi hai. So that's one question. And the next question is Indian Ocean Rim. I think it's very important this year. Last 2-3 बार से पूछा नहीं है. The Indo-Pacific strategy, India's blue ocean strategy, blue economy, G20 mein we have been flexing India's naval capabilities. So Indian Ocean as an important area. Add in this is 3-4 points. Okay. So one is do talk about, the first point is talk about the geographical location advantage of India and the Indian Ocean Rim. Essentially part of the Spikeman's rimland hai. India at the head of the Indian Ocean, India's proximity with the oil regions of Middle East, India's natural, cultural and economic historical links with East Africa. So the diaspora hai, starting from Ethiopia, Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, Tanzania, the entire arc, Swaziland, that's it, and India's proximity with Southeast Asia, ASEAN. So please draw this and show. अभी बताया आपको drawing करके. It's like India is very favorably placed in terms of its central location. India का tremendous geographical advantage in terms of location. Okay, so India, it's almost like it is equidistant to this, to this, to this. You reach this, you reach this. Australia. This is a very nice central location vis-a-vis the areas of Indian Ocean Rim. Okay, and 3 major choke points: the Bab el-Mandab choke point, we have the Hormuz Strait choke point, and we have the Malacca Strait choke point. And these 3 control more than 70% of the world's oil trade. The third, ये जो zone है, this is an arc of population concentration regions. You add South Asia, West Asia, Southeast Asia. This is almost 50% of the world's population. Africa population, Middle East, India, South Asia, and Southeast Asia. This is almost 50% of the world's population with very high ethnic diversity, cultural diversity. The third is, this is a resource-rich region. 5 resources. African resources, Katanga Plateau, diamond, copper, cobalt. This is the Katanga Plateau. ये वन रिसोर्स एरिया है। ये एक और रिसोर्स रीजन है, द ऑयल एंड गैस रिसोर्स रीजन। इंडिया अपने आप में रिसोर्स प्रीटी डाइवर्स, आयरन ओर, मेटालिफेरस, क्रोमियम, बिग प्रोड्यूसर। म्यांमार, लाओस एंड श्रीलंका, this is an area of gems, खासकर रूबी माइनिंग, जेम ट्रेड। इंडोनेशिया, ऑस्ट्रेलिया is coal resources. 5 major groups of resource regions along the boundaries of Indian Ocean. Please show this with sketches, okay? जितना आप ड्राइंग करेंगे उतना आपका, जो भी आप दिखा रहे हो, I'm drawing it here itself, okay? So Katanga region, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Angola region, the Middle East oil region, South Asian resource region, mainly metalliferous minerals, chromium, mica. There is an area of gems, Sri Lanka gems trade, and Laos, Cambodia also gems trade. They almost have monopoly in ruby mining. And then of course Australia and Indonesia is the coal regions. Yeah, so the geographical position in terms of the areas, the position in terms of the choke points, the arc of the population, the resource regions. And the fifth point is that this is one of the very you can say less developed regions of the world. So log zyada hain, resources hain, and less development. The Africa, Middle East, South Asia. You can leave Middle East, but South Asia, Southeast Asia, they are not the developed countries. So it's a dangerous mix. Ethnic diversity, high resources, but poor population. And except for India and maybe Australia, none of them are stable democracies. India and Australia chhod dein, none of the regions is a stable democracy. Essentially, it's a conflict region. It's a conflict-prone region. बोलते हैं अगर अगला वर्ल्ड वॉर होता है, गॉड फॉरबिड, तो यही होने वाला है। चाइनीज एंगल, okay, the resource regions. इसके ऊपर में 3 factors have made the region all the more volatile. One is the Chinese angle, the rising ambitions. The Chinese angle, the rising ambitions. That's one. Second is expansion of America's Pacific theater. The whole concept of Indo-Pacific. This has made the area all the more significant. Third is the Central Asian dimension or the Central Asian angle. Landlocked countries, hub of terrorism, and no access to sea route. So these are some conditions that have made the Indian Ocean very important, and India's position makes India the most, you can say, a practical country to deal with it. So India ka Indian Ocean strategy kya hai? What is India's Indian Ocean strategy? One is to develop Indian Ocean as a region of peace. Second is the principle of open regionalism. Basically, we're encouraging more trade, more dialogue, more participation. Call this as open regionalism. Third, to develop Indian Ocean regions with their cultural linkages. The fourth is exploring Indian Ocean as the new frontier of blue economy and sustainable economic development of Indian Ocean. So region of peace, open regionalism, the cultural dimension, and the economic dimension. And India's role as a very popular term that we keep on using, India as the net security provider, plus India's role in HADR, humanitarian assistance and disaster reduction or disaster relief, HADR. Initiative जो इंडिया के रहे हैं, बांग्लादेश में सिदर में किया. Okay, we have done that for Nargis cyclone. India's intervention after Nargis cyclone in Myanmar, India's intervention after Sidar cyclone in Bangladesh, SIDR. Okay, Sri Lanka में after Roanu, ROANU, Roanu cyclone in Sri Lanka. Okay, plus India's intervention, Seychelles cyclone. I forget the name of the cyclone. Seychelles, we were the first responders. Apart from this, ये तो हो गया आपका cyclone वाला. And the Maitri, the vaccine Maitri initiative. दो लिखो, Project Mausam भी लिखोगे, and Sagar concept also. Project Mausam. We're trying to revive all the cultural trade links of India with the neighboring countries in ocean. वो मौसम वाला project और Sagar concept. security and growth for all in the region. यही सागर concept is open regionalism. Okay? All participate, all collaborate, and in notion as. तो ज्योग्राफी में बस ये नाम लिख के आगे बढ़ जाना है. जीएस में आपको जो करना करें, डिटेल लिखो, whatever they ask. In geography, you don't need to elaborate too much on any one project. Just know the names, 4-5, drop the current affairs, and then you are done. Okay. And military may, of course, we have those Malabar exercise and the rest. If you know, you can mention that. Okay. So political geography topic for this mains also done.